Hi, welcome back to Let's Build. I had this request recently which was great to build an M6 coupe or cabrio in Indianapolis Red, and here it is. I think it looks really good, and the build is very easy, which we'll go through in just a second. So this is the E64, the cabrio version of the E63. This is the car that was asked for, and I was very happy to build it. But whilst we're doing this sort of 6 series, here's one that wasn't asked for. JMS Fahrzeugteile, and I probably got that wrong, so I'll just say JMS in future, are a European tuning house, and they have a customised E63, and that's what I've attempted to copy. Albeit, of course, we don't have a lot of the tunery bits, but in black I still think this looks really good. Now, the builds are both very quick due to the limited options on this car, so I'll run through them both one after the other. Everything's chapter marked for you, of course, including just how to make Indianapolis Red, which I think was perhaps the thrust of the request in the first place, maybe. Both these cars are discontinued, but both are free to steal from the street. But just bear in mind, they're both very rare on the streets of Los Santos. So if you don't have one, whenever you next see one, pick it up. Okay, now so to make our Indianapolis Red BMW M6 convertible, and I have done the work, but I've painted it black again so we can see as we go through. Armour and all performance parts are up to you, although I always suggest full armour if you're keeping the car. Chassis will be stock. It basically is these seats though, but they don't really work, so that's easy. For the exhaust, the chrome tip exhaust will give you 4 chrome pipes of at least roughly the right shape, and it's the closest one. Hood is stock again, we don't want carbon. For the lights, lots of the higher end BMWs of the era came with xenon lights with that bluey glow, so that's what I've selected here. For the respray, and I think this really is the thrust of the entire video, we don't really need a crew colour. Indianapolis Red is a really quite dark red. When you see it in shadow on the pictures, it's just a rich dark red, but where the sun hits it, it goes pretty much orange. So if you paint the car in a Cabernet red metallic, and initially you're like, oh, that's nowhere near, because this of course is whatever pearl the game has given it. But now we go through to the pearl and we go for a sunrise orange, and you can now see that sunrise orange has changed the colour of the red slightly, even in the shade, but wherever the sun hits it or the light in the workshop, it goes orange. And when I was preparing for this video, I took some photos of the car and I compared them directly on just a stolen different car that I painted in these colours, and it was such a close match that I don't see any point in messing with crew colours. There's no secondary or trim colours, so we move on to the spoiler, which is nothing. The suspension, which I have street, it might be a touch low, but I'd rather go a touch low than a touch high. Anywhere in these top 3 is okay. Transmission turbo up to you. And for the wheel type, if you go into high-end chrome, you can get these GT chromes, and these are effectively a 6-spoke version of the 5-spoke wheel that's there in reality. They're not quite, but they're very close. Of course, if you want to save some money, these cars sometimes could come with or optionally have a black wheel, so I suppose you could go black, but I do think that the chrome offsets the colour really nicely. I store it with the hood down, which means that I put the hood down, went into the workshop and did a modification, and that means you'll always be storing it hood down, which I think looks much better for one of these. So I'm not bothering to tint the windows because you don't see the windows. So that is the build complete. Okay, the build on the car is pretty simple because there's not that many parts you can actually change. So whilst we're pretending it's all body kitted up and stuff, there's only so much. This one is all maxed out on performance. It's one I've had for years, but obviously try to remember to do the armour at least. The exhaust, the chrome tips, gives you the 4 exhausts. Hood is going to be stock. Lights, I think I suggested before, xenon works for a BMW of this era. Moving on down, pick your own number plate. For colour, go either for pure black, if you know how to do that, as a crew colour, or of course just go with a classic black, and either will be fine. You can get a roll cage on this, but you don't want it. Roof is just stock. Now this spoiler, this is where we are quite lucky, that the mid-level spoiler here really is quite a close match for the one on the car we're doing, so I was pleased with that. The car we're doing is very low. I've gone with competition suspension here for as low as we can go. I have the turbo maxed, but unless you're building a car with a turbo, you do get a lot of wastegate noises, so might not be ideal. Now, for the wheels here, you go into the sports section and you get ground ride, and ground ride's really good because you have the chrome lip and you have these sort of thin triangles for spokes. Not enough of them and not with quite the same profile, but I feel they're the ones that give us the look the nearest. And yeah, let's get some obviously bulletproof tyres on, and for the windows I went with the dark smoke here because the windows look pretty dark on the car we're doing. And that's it. That is the build, nice and simple, for this really rather stunning looking car. Well, you know, I'm going to keep this red car, I think. It was supposed to be got rid of after the video, but it looks so good I can imagine quite a few collections I could pop it into. So that was great. So Kazuki-Su, thank you so much for the suggestion. And of course you are contractually obligated to like the video. And everybody else, if you enjoyed it, if you could like it as well, that would be great. Comments down below on anything I got wrong or requests for future cars to build would be great. Most of my requests tend to be to build a specific car, and I think they're probably the best, but of course you could just give me any old GTA car and say, go on, what can you do? And we'll give it a go. Now, if you're not subscribed but you do like real cars in GTA, then please do subscribe. There's been tons on the channel, and looking at the GTA 6 announcement, there's tons more to come on this topic because we've got over a year to wait, so plenty of time to refine those car collections. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.